Welcome to TESOL Kuwait's podcast. With me today is Veronica Zvinca. Veronica is a former president of TESOL Kuwait. She's employed as a head of the English department for Rawda Secondary School for Girls with the Kuwait Ministry of Education. Her undergraduate degree is in English Language and Literature from Arab Open University, and she holds an M.Ed. in TESOL from Exter University in the UK. She has been awarded both a CELTA and a Delta. And today she's going to talk to us about why you, as language teachers, may want to consider studying for the CELTA and then go on for the Delta. Thank you so much for joining us today, Veronica.
Thank you for inviting me. Welcome, everyone. I hope, yes, we're going to discuss CELTA and Delta in some detail today and convince people that they're the right choice for them.
Inshallah. Now, a lot of times people go, well, I hear CELTA, I hear Delta, but I just don't really know. What's the difference between them? So could you clarify that for us, please?
Well, both CELTA and Delta are professional development courses for English language teachers. The main difference is that CELTA is for beginner teachers, right, who don't have much experience, who are just new to the field of teaching in ELT, while Delta requires some experienced teachers and people who have an idea already what teaching is about. So that's the main difference between the two courses.
Thanks for clarifying that, because really people get confused. Now, you mentioned about teachers who are just starting out their careers. How could CELTA certification benefit these new teachers who are just starting their careers in English language teaching?
Well, it's a very beneficial course for teachers who just started their careers in the field of, English language teaching, because CELTA actually focuses on two components: the practical component and the theoretical component, right? Basically, teachers, new teachers, we're going to learn how to plan a lesson, which is really important, and they're going to produce or present the lessons they're planning in front of a committee. Let's say we have their colleagues who are taking part in the CELTA course and the tutors who are going to assess them continuously. They're going to have to do 8 TPs or training practices, right? And they're going also to write a couple of papers. So actually it has two components which prepares them very well for facing the difficulties in the class and gives them that real feeling, that you have in a classroom. Because they're going to work with volunteers, people who volunteer, and they're actually the students in that class. So yes, indeed, CELTA is really beneficial for beginner teachers. And for people who have some experience and they want to just refresh and have another, point of view, and they want to be evaluated and improve their teaching.
Also, aren't many universities starting to require, well, not just universities, but teaching institutions are starting to require that their teachers be CELTA certified? If I'm wrong, but it seems like that this is a major move.
Yes, it is, and it was a major move for some time in Europe and other countries, and newly in Kuwait. I myself, going through job offers and going to interviews, I have noticed that universities here in Kuwait started to require CELTA, and some of them even Delta as prerequisites for their employment. So yes, indeed, it is very helpful when it comes to getting a job.
Well, and I think what you're trying to say is that CELTA certification enhances a teacher's ability to effectively teach English as a second language. And so what specific teaching skills and techniques are covered in a CELTA program?
Well, we're covering all the teaching skills, reading, writing, listening, and speaking, okay? And they're also looking into the language teaching, which is grammar, vocabulary, and language functions mainly. So everything is actually covered, and the amount of feedback that you get from your colleagues and, of course, from your tutors is really helpful. We cover all kind of techniques during the CELTA, okay? All kind of methodology that can be employed in the class. But as I said, I think for a new teacher, the main thing that is impactful, on the teaching is learning a lot about lesson plans and how to manage their time, in the class and so on.
Well, how does CELTA certification impact a teacher's employability and career prospects? Could you go over that again? You hinted at it that in Europe it's been a part of a requirement for a long time, but you said that it is becoming more so in Kuwait.
Yeah.
Is this for what level do you see them wanting CELTA certification?
Well, I think all the levels actually. I've noticed even private schools are requiring CELTA sometimes when they, advertise for job openings, and private universities. For me, in my point of view, it was really helpful to apply CELTA skills and CELTA, whatever I learned from CELTA when I did, interviews and demos for part-time at universities, and they really appreciated the fact that I'm trying to develop myself, and I got this kind of Cambridge certification. So I think, yes, all the levels are appreciating now people who have this certification.
Okay, well, you've sold me on the CELTA. What would I have to do to enroll in a CELTA program?
Well, first of all, you have to make sure that you are getting, the right institution. There are certain institutions that are certified by Cambridge, and for that you can access the Cambridge website where all the institutions are listed. Okay, and you have to contact a certified, center. I remember International House, most of them, they have, this kind of certified centers all over the world. I did it in Romania with the International House, but of course there are other possibilities. Usually even, I think even British Council, not in Kuwait, but in other countries, they do have CELTA as well. So that's a really important aspect. You have to make sure you are in a certified Cambridge center, okay, and that is, accredited. Then you have to contact them, and you go through their process. Where you'll have an interview and a test which you have to complete. And yes, if you pass the test, and they'll call you for the interview, and if you pass the interview, then you'll get a spot in their course.
It sounds like you've really emphasized that anyone wanting to enroll in a CELTA program must be very sure that it is in a certified program.
Yes, that's right.
I think you see stuff advertised on the internet, and it may or may not be certified. So beware, make sure.
Yes,
so right. Can somebody who has just graduated, could they enroll in a CELTA program, or do
Absolutely.
they need experience?
Absolutely. You don't need experience to be in a CELTA program. Actually, we had people who, in my during my time, when I took the CELTA, there were people who were lawyers, right? So they took an interest in teaching English, and they didn't have any experience, and they went through the course without any kind of problem. So no, you don't need experience to be in a CELTA program.
Okay, well, let's move on to the Delta certification. How is it different from the CELTA, and who is it most suitable for?
Well, Delta is, let's say, a CELTA, but at a higher level, okay? It goes more into the details and of teaching and deeper into its methodologies. Um, you're gonna have to write much more and do much more research compared to what is done in CELTA. Um, for Delta, we have 3 modules. It's not just one course like CELTA. Each module, you can take it, separately, and you can start with any module that you like. Module 1 is about theory. Module 2 is about teaching, so it's the practical part. And module 3 is about research. So yes, it takes a lot of time. You'll need at least 1 year to complete it. And in some countries, it is considered to be as, at the same level as a master's degree. So some universities in Europe would employ people with a Delta degree, and actually even prefer in some cases people with a Delta degree compared to someone who has a master degree. That's because it has a practical component, and it really, teaches you a lot about teaching in a classroom. So yes, it's more intense, more demanding. It's really an experience you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Yeah, I think that's the main difference.
That's very interesting. It seems like definitely if you don't have a master's degree, that you would definitely want to be Delta certified, because it sounds like you're saying it opens up more doors for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, what are some of the potential financial and time commitments that are associated with attaining CELTA and Delta certifications?
Well, definitely, I wouldn't advise anyone to work and take this kind of certificate at the same time. It is very time consuming, very stressful. You need to be 100% available to put all your effort into it. So now after our with the experience with the pandemic, there is a possibility that you could take them online, which we didn't have before the pandemics. So I suggest if you're working and you cannot, like have a study leave or anything from your work, to go for the online version, which is a longer version, and you can find each center has different, offers and different way to organize their courses. But if you want to take it face to face, and then you'll have to consider the costs, additional costs for accommodation, and getting to your place to the course and coming back. So yeah, I would say the number one concern is the time. It's very time consuming and very stressful. And second, it's not a cheap course, but in my opinion, it worth every penny. So again, depending on where you're choosing to do your course and how, if it's face to face or online, you'll have to decide and see, um, how much is going to cost you and so on, definitely you're going to put all your effort and time into it.
It sounds like you may be suggesting that teachers study for the Delta or the CELTA during their summer holidays, where they would be having more time. Did I understand you correctly for that?
Yeah, that could be a possibility. Then again, if you are going to study during your holiday, make sure you don't have any kind of distractions, like family around you, because really you have to, like starting from early morning until you go to sleep, it's all about working on your certificate. This was my experience and the experience of many other people I know who took the certificate, and they had the same issue with being busy all day long with preparing for the course. And yeah, it's a tremendous amount of work.
Okay. Can you provide us any examples of success stories or testimonials from teachers that you know who benefited from these certifications in their own careers?
Yes, actually, I have a couple of colleagues at the Ministry of Education, and they benefited a lot from the experience of having the CELTA, especially. One of them, she's just now newly appointed as a head of department, and she's applying everything she took just this summer, okay? She's applying to train her department, and she's really, over the moon with what she's learned in during the CELTA course. I think even if you don't get the dream job, or how do I say it, you don't get to change your career after you take it, I think there is a lot to learn from those courses. I'm personally very happy that I took them. It's not just, they help me develop even on a personal level, build up my resilience, to say so, and why not, making me more confident in myself, knowing that I managed to, to do such great amount of work. So yeah, I would recommend it for everyone. Just, I would say start with the CELTA first, and take your time to complete the Delta, because it's not an easy task. So yeah, you need time and commitment. And
Thank
inshallah,
you
you'll
so
be
much.
successful. Yes. Thank you for inviting me. I hope anyone
I was
will.
going to ask if anybody has any questions, could they email you through TESOL Kuwait to get more information?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you again. We've been speaking today with Veronica Zvinca from the Kuwait Ministry of Education on the importance of the CELTA and the Delta. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.